What is up, everybody? Hoang Zero here, and today I have for you a new episode of Eyes on the Meta. Eyes on the Meta is a series where we look at Japanese lists that have topped on CG guides, and we dissect, look at them, and usually we just pick out deck lists that are very interesting and see if that inspires any ideas for the English format when it does arrive to us. And so starting us off, we do have a deck list that is focusing on Grand Kuwagamon, actually. So Grand Kuwagamon did receive a nerf in the form of Grand Kuwagamon promo being put to 1. However, they did receive a couple of new tools. Specifically, one of the new tools that they did receive was Grand Kuwagamon, not Grand Kuwagamon, but rather Kuwagamon promo. Kuwagamon promo is on play when digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon cannot unsuspend until the end of their turn, right? So why that's important? So number one, it doesn't in and of itself does not suspend. You need something else to do the suspend. But you're playing Kuwaga, so very easy to do, right? Akua X combo is a really great way to do it. Grandis, for example, is another great card that can really do that. And then this deck also plays it plays one. It plays one of the BT12 Grand Kuwagamon. When digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then this Digimon may attack an opponent's Digimon. Your turn, once returned, when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, gain a memory. So basically the gist here that we're really trying to abuse is the fact that we have a lot of access to tapping out our opponent's resources, which then sets us up for the Kuwagamon promo. Kuwagamon promo, it's right here. I know it's a little bit blurry, but Kuwagamon promo, they do play 4 of it. They also play 4 Kuwagamon X. That does give you piercing underneath. So if you don't have a Kuwagamon promo, that's totally fine because then you still get the piercing right over here. But yeah, so this deck is just really honing in on the Kuwaga factor. It also has the 4 training boosts, which are really excellent in a low-end fast Evo deck like this. Has floodgates like Terry and Pomu, Kokua X, and then regular Kokuas, the one of which gives you +1 security attack at the cost of being a 1-cost evolution. And then we do have 2 Quartz, 1 Death X, and a Merciful. So actually a bit of an abundance as far as your level 7s go. So yeah, very interesting control deck. And then following up on that, we do have New Maimon. This is a very interesting take on New Maimon because it really revolves around the Shin Monzaimon. So Monzaimon, specifically the yellow one over here, I believe this is from Reboot set. It's from the Reboot set. Yeah. So 3 cost, if your level 4 has New Maimon in name, on play, place by placing 1 Digimon with New Maimon from your trash under this Digimon at the bottom of it, gain 2 memory, and then on play, when digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP and sec attack -1. And if this card is underneath, if I get ESS, it's underneath a Monzai or a Nume, it's a security attack +1. And then the new Maimon we got from the Rising Wind. On deletion, reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Monzaimon and 1 card with Nume in its name among them to your hand. Place the rest on the bottom of your deck, and then opponent's turn, while the Digimon has Monzai or Nume in its name, it gains a blocker. So the Monzaimon, not only is it's a 5-cost hard slime, first of all, so that's really easy to play around. Has a little bit of DP minus as well attached to it. But with the New Maimon, you're able to get a little bit more recursion. So you're playing your low end, your bottom end is very much so just like generic good stuff, black cards. Like Chumon's a great floodgate, Chikumon's a great floodgate, Dorumon is just really great out of security. And then you have your New May as your super low end. So your bottom end is very cheap. Everything is 3 and below. And then you have your 5-cost hard slam level 5s, which then allow you to go into your Shin Monzaimon. Shin Monzaimon is a 5-cost over yellow level 5, but 4-cost over a level 5 with Monzai or New Maimon in its name. When digivolving, place all level 3 Digimon face down at the top of their own security stack, and then all of your opponents level 4 or lower Digimon get minus 3000 DP and security attack -1 until the end of your opponent's turn. When attacking, by trashing 1 card with New Maimon in its name from this card's source, place 1 of your opponent's Digimon face down at the bottom of their security stack. So when you're playing so many level 3s on your end of the side, it's very easy to get massive board-wide heal. And then it also has the ability to start tucking away your opponent's cards by tucking away your New Maimon. So Shin Monzaimon is a really strong boss card. But despite being a really strong boss card, you need the support to, really get there. And I know in BT13, we do receive new Maimon support, so this is one of those decks that's kind of just holding out. And I do just want to say that BT14, as of right now, this video being recorded, it has just come out. I think, literally, the day, yesterday or something like that. So BT14 is not factored into the results here. This is the very last BT13 Eyes on the Meta list. And then we also do play the 4 Parabolic Junk, so it gains you additional memory when you're popping these smaller new Maimons. You have Pride to get our free bodies, and then Infinity Cannon just for some extra removal. Now we do have Melda making an appearance. So Melda is a deck that is absolutely disgusting. I think this deck is genuinely gross, like really gross. Even with War Garurumon promo at 1, it's still very easy for you to set up kill turns, especially with Melga Ace, because Melga Ace is essentially a 0-cost evolution that can lead into an Omnimon play. So you can go 0 cost and then go Melga X, and that's just gross. And then note, this list doesn't run Lament. I think Lament is a really powerful card. I definitely would consider it myself personally. I think Lament being able to give you that additional security, like additional way of protecting your stack. So if they like try like Gaia Force or just pop it in some way, it'll just come back, and then so they have to deal with the stack twice over. And it has battle protection, it gets extra annoying as well. This deck has so much combat potential and so much damage output. Not to mention a lot of removal, because War Garurumon, the level 5 purple, pops 4 and lowers. Melda Ace pops card, and you have all the bouncing. It's just, there's so much removal. Yes, you lost out on your damage output potential, but you, in exchange, you got a lot of removal. So I would say it's pretty fair exchange, I would say. And then we do have Mastermind with Venusmon attributes. So the thing about this deck is Mastermind is a little bit too slow for the current format, right? Mastermind really excels in formats where everything's slowed down, so that way Mastermind can set up for its own win con. Venusmon especially is amazing in the mirror and is really great at slowing down opponents' decks, but note that the only way this deck can trigger the Venusmon is using the Angelwoman from the starter deck that's on play minus security attack. You do have Health Scythe to recycle that ability, and that's totally fine, but that is something to note. It also does play the 4 Harrismon, which is another way to trigger it, albeit not consistently, but it will go ahead and trigger that Venusmon. But the way this deck is built is it's trying to set up for your standard Mastermind combos, your Lucimons, your Magna Angemons, all that other jazz. But it's incorporating a Venusmon engine to try and just turn off whatever your opponent is attempting to do. I think one really cool thing that you could do with Mastermind is you could play a much more tempo-oriented version using cards like Metal Garurumon Ace, like Entorosmon, etc. To just try and push down your opponent's security instead of trying to like just build time for it. Now we do have Aegis German making its appearance, and specifically it's using a very interesting tech in the form of Slayer German. Slayer German ESS does allow you to force your opponent to actually attack, and because you can go Slayer German Evo over it with Aegis German, then you can force them to attack at the start of their main phase, and then you have blockers on your board because you're playing Fish. And one really cool thing to note is that Dracomon searches for Dramon. So it's going to grab your Ebi Dramon, your Sea Dramon, your Slayer Dramon, your Aegis Dramon. You just have so many valid targets for the Dracomon to actually grab that you're in a really great position. So I think this combo is very, very cool. The Slayer Dramon, Aegis Dramon combo, as long as you have blocker up somehow, then you're in a really strong position. At worst, you force them to swing out, and then maybe they hit into security, they hit an Aegis German, and then everything goes down, right? But yeah, conceptually, this is a very cool list. I think it can be refined a little bit more than likely, but it's very, very cool. Now we do have CrossFire making waves in Japan. When I was looking through red and yellow lists during my research, I saw a lot of Hunters and a lot of CrossFire. So we're going to discuss that a little bit. But this is the Merva Rush variation, running the Gravity Crush, the Blinding Ray, just trying to generate as much memory as possible so you can go into your Merva combo and then push as much damage as possible in a single turn. It's really crazy just how powerful this deck was in BT11. The reason why this deck fell off so much and recent times with English format especially is because its Hunters matchup is not very stellar. In War Greymon deck with Hades got more support, but this deck is still something that if it sees all of its combo pieces fast enough, it's still it can be really, really scary. So I definitely would never genuinely sleep on CrossFire. It's one of those decks where if they hit the combo, they're just gonna go crazy. Now we do have Hunters. Hunters is a deck that's still very good. It'll be good for this format, the upcoming BT13 format, BT14 format. It's a deck that's always good, just because of how the deck is played. If you don't have Hades, Force, or anything like that, then you're in a you're in a world for hurt if you just let this deck set up. as long as this deck sets up like it's 3 to 4 tamers and it starts doing the superior mode combos, they can genuinely just control the board state super efficiently. They have Quartzmon to lock you down as well. They have a lot of kill pressure in the form of a Rescuedramon double swing with Watchman. It's such a powerful deck. I would never genuinely sleep on Hunters. I don't think for a very long time we're ever going to have a format where Hunters is a weak deck. Hunters is always a deck that should be on your radar, especially because Superior Mode has a form of removal that not a lot of decks can play around, and if you play into it, it hurts a lot. And then following up, we do have Promo Black War Greymon OTK. This is the deck that got top 4 at Japanese Nationals, utilizing the Security Attack Plus as well as all the draw power that the Greymon deck can afford you, including Blinding Ray, which you can proc off of your yellow base Agumon. You're looking to just try and clean sweep OTK your opponent through this deck. It's one of the few uninteractive BT9 style of decks we still have lying around. But without Greymon X, this deck did suffer a little bit of a hit, so it's trying to compensate with it using Chimeramon to try and grab some additional damage from your trash and whatnot, or if not that, it's trying to grab some protection as well. So there's a lot of different avenues that you can go with this. I think this deck is still something that should be on people's radars, just because if you don't see this coming, it can just blow you out of the water at times. Now we do have... it looks like Beelzemon, but it's Bellstar, and this is a Bellstar deck that is completely Nailbone reliant. Yes, we did receive a new 7-cost option in the form of Heaven's Judgment, and so we need a Yellow Tamer TK Kari. Great way to proc that. Heaven's Judgment is going to be a minus 6,000 DP, or minus 12k DP, because you have 2 colors. If you somehow have double color, which this deck is running multiple colors, is running black purple, black purple, red purple, green purple, and yellow purple that try and give you additional Heaven's Thunder procs. Using the Nailbone, you have a bunch of different viable targets that you can revive. The Wendigomon has Alliance, the Black Automon has Rush, Saberdramon Raid Retaliation, the Raramon, let me go pull it up real quick because I actually don't remember which one this does because it's one of the new promos that we did receive. It's on play when Digivolving, trash 1 card from your hand, draw 2. Very fantastic. And yeah, so this deck is just trying to generate as much value as possible from your Nailbone targets. You also see that it runs the blocker Fascomon as well to try and increase your defensive utility. It runs the Sistermon that gives, that's on play, discard 1, draw 2. And it also runs the new Bellstar to try and get some additional damage pushed out. So if you're looking to just Nailbone spam the living hell out of your opponent, this is the way to go. And then finally, the last deck I did want to discuss is Rayvon. Rayvon is a fan favorite amongst the Digimon community. Unfortunately, it's the one Sabers deck that did not perform exceptionally well. The other 3 did pretty well for themselves, especially Shine and Mirage, obviously. Rosemon, here and there. But Rayvon was definitely the outlier among the Saber set. But it's still not a deck that is terrible. It's just a deck that it feels like it's missing something. Or rather, the pieces that I got weren't exactly, how do I say, the highest of quality. Like, a lot, it's kind of awkward because it's, your opponent gets to choose what they discard. So they have that choice, so they can just discard like additional copies they have, cards they don't really need, etc. Burst mode does allow you to selectively snipe a card from their hand, and that's fine and dandy, but the removal tied with burst mode it requires you to have your opponent specifically to have a card with the same name in their trash, and then bot deck it to pop a card on the board with that same name. And that's at times could be really awkward because what if they just don't have it in their hand for you to discard? Then at that point it's kind of just like their burst mode is definitely the weakest of the 4. So, but it's really cool to see Rayvon making a little bit of an appearance. Being able to hand snipe is still a really cool thing. It just so happens that in Digimon, hand sniping isn't as powerful just because you draw so many cards. But as long as we continue to get generic purple support or purple avian support, Rayvon will, since it's looking at a specific archetype rather than like Gaomon specific name, that means that there is an avenue for which this can receive some indirect support. So, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you had a wonderful time, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.